From the Ticats Audio Network, this is Tiger Cats Game Day with Louie Butko and Mike Daly.
Yes, it is a Hamilton Tiger Cats game day. Louie Butko alongside longtime CFL vet, all with the Ticats, Mike Daly. And Mike, it has been a while. Great to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Yeah, a little bye week action there. You get a rest and refresh. It was a good bye week, I'm sure, for all the players as well. You get like I said, get that body back and get some bodies back. And, I'm looking forward to it because bringing Winnipeg into Hamilton Stadium, you can't really beat it.
Well, we'll talk about that bye week and what it means to, go into the bye week with the win. We'll talk about some of the guys who are coming back from the bye week, including Witten McManus, who's making his Ticats debut tonight. But very, very quickly, let's just turn back the clock a few weeks. Big Ticats win over the BC Lions. And, Bo Levi Mitchell, we've talked about it on this show for a couple of years now, but what is it about Bo? Big number 19, another great performance, really historic. What did he throw? 5 of them were touchdowns. We're seeing this guy turn back the clock. What do you make of Bo Levi Mitchell so far this season, and how can he keep that momentum going?
Oh, it's just incredible, right? And I know before this season, even before last, and before he came to Hamilton, they're like, hey, this guy is a Hall of Famer. But he just keeps elevating his game. Each season, each game, he keeps elevating it. He's at like 84% completion on the season. It's insane what he's doing. And at his age, like he's able to see a lot of the things. He knows what's going on. He's putting the ball in good location. But what is impressive is he's moving around the pocket. He's making big-time plays. He's extending the play like you're seeing, the top quarterbacks around the league doing. And that's what's getting him all these big plays. That's what's getting him these touchdowns, 5 touchdowns in a game. He's doing an unbelievable job at spreading the ball around and making the big play when it's there, but also not forcing that big play when it's not there. And, I don't know what to say, Lou. Like, he just keeps elevating his game. And it is an impressive thing to watch. I keep saying this where, hey, at some point the offense is going to sputter and this defense is going to have to come pick it up. But I don't know. I don't know if that's going to happen the way he's been playing. This is incredible.
Yeah, it really is, and obviously, we can talk a lot about Bo, and we do, future Hall of Famer. But what he's been able to do this season, obviously, is the engine of the Ticats keeping it going. And I do want to say, brand new episode, brand new season of Made in the Hammer, obviously Bo opened up a little bit, talking about the loss of his father in this past offseason, how he's going to play for him. Just really cool to go behind the scenes. But season 2, Made in the Hammer, again, a great episode. And it's just one of those things, and producer Troy was talking about this, I could watch 6 hours of that, right? I could watch that behind the scenes stuff, and they do such a great job. And Taylor and the rest of the Ticats TV staff, as we used to call them, Ticats TV, just do a great job capturing the moment. But what did you make of episode 1 of Made in the Hammer?
Oh, I love it. It's such a good job. Like, it is exactly what I would be watching on Netflix and stuff like that. Like, it's such a good documentary. It's awesome to see the behind the scenes because that's exactly what it is, right? Like, I look at a situation where Stavros was coming into training camp, right? And both Bo and Stavros touched on this a little bit, but they were like, hey, going into a grind of a training camp. And you can tell everybody's excited for football, but the training camp piece is like, okay, we got to get through this. But what really stood out was as soon as everybody started seeing each other, I think of when Stavros saw Kenny Lawler and he's wheeling in all his snacks for the DBs and all his extra stuff. And the guy packs way too much, and I'm going to tell him that too, right? Like that is a lot of stuff, but he's getting prepared. But how quickly it goes from, not seeing a guy a lot of the off season, and you immediately snap back into, oh, teammate, we're best friends again. Here we go. Let's get ready to roll. So I thought that was the coolest thing because that's exactly how it is every single year. You could not see somebody for 6 months, get back together, and it's like nothing, like no time had left. And that's exactly what this team has done, what Stavros was doing, and it's really cool to see that behind the scenes and how a team's built. So I thought, the Ticats audio network, the Ticats TV, whatever you want to call it, Lou, they did an awesome job. Taylor put that thing together. I'll keep watching it for sure.
Oh, 100%. You can catch episode 1 of Made in the Hammer on Ticats YouTube and ticats.ca, of course, presented by Porter. And it's just one of those things. And it's so professionally done, right? Like, I watched all those, like, 24/7 NHL shows, Hard Knocks, all that stuff. And they really do put you there. And Stavros, of course, is a great character to follow all season long. And, the players have to buy into it. And the team has to buy into it. Scott Milanovich, Orlando Steinauer, all those guys really have to say yes to be able to pull off something like this. And for Bo to be as open as he was about his father, I mean, that's some really personal stuff. So for him to share that kind of stuff, it is super cool. And can't wait for episode 2 already because episode 1 set the bar, and of course episode 2 I'm sure will be just as good. The thing I loved about episode 1 was they got to that big win over the Winnipeg Blue Bombers in Winnipeg right at the end there of the episode. Ticats getting set to play the Bombers again. 4th game of the season, playing the Bombers for a second time. When you were playing, did you like the idea of getting rid of a West opponent pretty early on, or it is very quick to get your Winnipeg games out of the way here?
Yeah, well, other than BC, I just didn't want to go out there come wintertime. I mean, it was really cold out there, so yeah, to be able to get rid of that West opponent nice and early is nice. But I mean, it's also a weird thing when you are game planning for a team and then play them so shortly after, because you've now shown your cards on how you think you can beat this team, right? And the Ticats were able to run the ball a ton in that last game against Winnipeg, and that's what ended up, putting them over the top. Roundtree had a great game, over 120 yards on the ground, and that now is going to be looked at under a microscope for this Winnipeg team. So the challenge at Coach Milanovich and this entire coaching staff is, okay, what worked last game? What didn't work the game before, right? And how are we going to implement that? Are we going to throw a curveball? Are we going to try to do the same thing? It's this weird game of chess, but you've already been given all the answers. So I love these type of games because it really shows the creativity of the coaching staff and what they're going to roll out. But the other thing too is this Ticats team is going to look a little bit different with some of the additions, like you said, with Wynton McManus and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm looking forward to this game from that strategic standpoint for sure.
Yeah, we'll get to some of the lineup changes. Not just Wynton McManus making his Ticats debut, but Jamal Peters back in the lineup, which is great to see. After what we saw him get hurt a few weeks ago, so great to see him back in the lineup. And of course, we'll go through the lineup as we get you set for tonight's game against the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It is a 7 p.m. kickoff to wrap up the Canada Day long weekend. Hopefully, you had a very long weekend. But of course, 7 p.m. is the kickoff. Ticats versus Winnipeg at Hamilton Stadium. Just to that point of playing the Bombers, knowing that you were playing them twice, was there anything that the coaches would hold back? Is there a certain page of the playbook that maybe you didn't show them the first time around? Because you knew they were coming right back up, right? It's like I think about going against Toronto when you're playing the Argos 3 times and twice in a row, or that Labor Day rematch. Was there anything left back of the playbook, do you think? And what do you think the Ticats show the Bombers this time around?
Yeah, great question. I get this a lot too, and we always had these conversations. But no, you don't hold anything back because it is so hard to win in this league that you can't be looking at the next game, even though it's a week 2, week 3, early on in the season game. You can't really sit there and be like, well, we'll hold some stuff back. Whatever it takes to win that game on that day is what you have to do. Now, what's going to change a little bit is you're going to have some plays off of what you were doing in that game. So that's just expanding your playbook, like maybe a new blitz on defense, right? You didn't bring Reggie Stubblefield in that last game, so maybe you'll bring him a little bit more in this game. You bring in the Trey Ford package, maybe that thing expands, right? And I'm going to stay on that package, Lou. I'm not leaving Trey Ford and his running package, but maybe that expands a little bit. So I don't think you hold anything back. You just add. And that's why we always talk about the best teams in the CFL are the ones that are able to grow week after week after week and into the playoffs. And that's because of that, because you're just adding to each of those playbooks. So that's all I'm really looking for. What I'm curious to see is how much they lean on that run again, like we were talking about last game against Winnipeg, where it's like, hey, let's keep doing it, let's keep doing it, let's keep doing it. I'm curious to see what they try to do to stop that run game from the Ticats.
Now, obviously, Ticats had the early bye week. Ticats coming off the bye since the start of 2018 are 14-5, including 4-1 under Scott Milanovich. We've talked about going into the bye, on a high with that big win over BC. We've talked about going into the bye week on a losing streak. How difficult is it to pick up that momentum where you're riding high? You had this big win against BC last time out. You've won 2 in a row. It's early on in the season. Vibes are high, and now it's okay. Peace. See you guys. Go do your own thing for the next week. How hard is it to pick up that momentum? Obviously vibes are still high when you get back, but you had some momentum going into that bye week. How hard is it to pick that back up?
Yeah, that's a lot on the coaching staff to do, because you're exactly right. The vibes are high. Everybody's been gone for a week. They've done whatever, seen their family, gone on vacation, just hung out at home, whatever it is that they chose to do for that week. But when they come back, that's the toughest part, because everybody's going to be happy to see each other again, but the focus needs to be brought back in, just like it would be if you had a game last week and you didn't have the bye week. So it's really up to the coaches to dial it in, to ramp things back up so that it goes from vibes are high, you want everybody to be feeling good, but now we got to focus. We have Winnipeg coming up. This is our game plan, and then it's right back to play by play, putting in the playbook, whatever it is. So a lot of that is on the coaches to get them all focused back, and the leadership group as well. But that's really the main focus on this week is, okay, let's dial it back in. We had a good bye week. Put that in the past. Move on. Here we go. Winnipeg's coming in.
What would you have done with a week 4 bye week? How would you have gotten away from football? What do you think some of the guys did? I'm sure there was a lot of golf played. I'm sure once we watch May and the Hammer season, episode 2, there'll be a lot of golf. But what would you have done with an early bye week like this?
Yeah, good point. So I would golf. I would golf sometimes, but I was Lou, I'm a little bit of a psychopath when it comes to that kind of stuff.
We know. Yeah, we know.
So I would actually take it as an advantage to be like, okay, I can get stronger now. I can lift a little bit heavier than I would have before. I was usually in therapy, so I was always around the stadium. But it was easy for me because I didn't have to go very far. So I could always be around the stadium. I know a lot of guys that, are from the States. They would end up flying back home to see their family or whatever it is, some of their friends. But everybody that is at this level is pretty serious. So it's, very rarely would somebody go on a vacation, but definitely go and see the family and stuff along those lines. But you still know that you got a long season ahead. So if there's any nicks and bruises, you want to get those taken care of. But lots of golf. You're absolutely right. Lots of golf.
I can just picture you in the weight room, not unsupervised, throwing an extra 20 or 30 pounds. Nobody there to yell at you. So yeah, we know. You say you're a little bit of a psycho. We know, Mike Daly. You don't have to tell us. Let's talk about Winton McManus making his Ticats debut. I'm sure the crowd is going to be amped up when he runs onto the tunnel, when Big Mike Neighbors, the PA announcer, announces him 48 for your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Again, here we are. Winton McManus is a Hamilton Tiger Cat. I know he has been for a while, but we'll actually get to see him in the black and gold this time around. What kind of impact does he make? Obviously, his statistics speak for himself. His leadership, of course, but just what sort of impact will he have on the lineup? Not just on what he will do stat-wise, but what he does for the guys around him, how teams have to game plan for him. A huge addition to this lineup.
Yeah, a huge addition. Now, the one thing that Winton McManus is going to have to focus on this game is getting back into playing shape. And not even the sense that he's not in shape or he's, not physically ready, but he hasn't played a game in a while. right? So now he's got to get back and get some of that rust off. So I'm looking for him to make some plays, but also just make the plays that are coming to him. He doesn't need to be the superstar Wynn McManus this game. Now, does that mean that he doesn't have the opportunity to? No, he could definitely do that. But in terms of the mental side and what he brings, I talk about this all the time. When you come against a veteran quarterback, they've seen every defense that there is. They know that the plays that they're trying to run, they know what the defense looks like. Well, Wynn McManus is exactly that, but on the defensive side. He knows what these plays are. He knows if there's a shallow underneath receiver running across his face, that there's probably something in behind him, and he's seen it already 1,000 times. So now it's not just being in the right position. That's why he's able to make all these big plays, because he knows exactly what's going to come, so he's going to set it up, right? You always hear about these DBs and these pass defenders baiting things. Well, that's what he does. And then in the run game, he already knows that he's able to physically move bodies, and that's what I'm looking forward to, is just the cerebralness of Wynn McManus and what he's able to provide on that side, taking looks away, taking primary receivers away, right? And then being able to be that, energizer bunny for that defense, and everybody's going to be looking toward him, even if he wants it or not. He's the leader of this defense, and with him and Reggie Stubblefield beside each other, I mean, talk about lightning rods. Anybody will be excited to play, beside those guys. So that's what I'm looking for Wynn McManus, and just seeing some plays that he's able to make.
Yeah, you throw in Braxton Hill in that linebacker crew. Obviously, big number 38's been doing his job. And then again, it's just, for me, it's one more person. It's almost like you have to worry about two guys when McManus is out there, right? Like, that opens up lanes for your D-line. That opens up opportunities for the secondary to come in and make plays. Like, Wynn McManus is a genuine game changer, right? And even though, 4 sacks last year, that's a great number. 62 defensive tackles, from his career high of 88. Right, like he's just a difference maker, and even when he doesn't show up on the stat sheet, he still shows up. Right. So yeah, having him back, or having him in the lineup, I guess not back, but having him in the lineup, it's going to take some time to get used to, of course. The guy wears double blue for a couple of years. It is going to be weird to see him. It's going to be great to see him in the black and gold, I should say, but it will be a little bit of an adjustment, I'm sure. I'll be wiping my glasses, making sure that's actually who it is there. But no, really great to see Wynn McManus in the lineup. And speaking of great to see in the lineup, obviously considering how scary it was having to be carted off, Jamal Peters. Again, just the fact that he's playing, he's healthy, he's ready to go after the injury that he had. Scary sight. You never want to see a guy carted off like that. But again, one of the best CBs in the league, but DBs in the league right now. He, again, a game changer. Having him back in the lineup, what does that mean for the Ticats and for the rest of that secondary?
Oh, yeah, it's incredible. And like you said, good to see him back. But that's also what an early bye week does for you, right? Is it gives these guys time to rest and not, playing that, are we bringing them back too early, or, are we bringing them back on the right time? A bye week gives you that time to get these guys all back. So I'm glad to see that it worked for the Ticats. To have Jamal Peters back, this is huge, because frankly, this Ticats pass defense needs a little boost of confidence here, needs a little jolt of energy. And, we know what Jamal Peters is able to do out there and make the plays and, turn the ball over. That's exactly what they need, right? Because right now, if you're going to look at one weak point of this whole Ticats team, it's defending the pass, right? And now they're still winning games. So at the end of the day, all you want is a win. But like I said, at some point, this Ticats defense is going to be needing to make some plays when that ball's in the air, and Jamal Peters is exactly the person that you need to change that around. So really good to see, to have him back, to Braxton Hill, Destin Talbert. That's the weak side of the field that they wanted to start the beginning of the year. So to see those guys, all back and able to make some plays, that's really where my eyes are going to be on this defense. Pretty much the whole game is on that weak side, and see what they're able to do.
Let's just talk about the quarterback matchup. We talked about this last time they played, but Zach Caleros versus Bo Levi Mitchell, two of the most experienced guys in the league. Bo Levi Mitchell coming into this game with 112 wins. That is tied with Ricky Ray. But this is going to, obviously, two quarterbacks who have seen a lot across the league, two offensive coordinators, two play callers who know each other and know what the other guy is going to do. But what do you make of the quarterback quarterback matchup. Two all-time greats, two Hall of Famers, two MOPs, but really, really spoiled with the quarterback matchup. And really, I'm just going to say this, the quarterback play this season across the league has been unbelievable. Of course, Vernon Adams coming off that big game this week as well. But obviously we'll talk about that, the quarterback play this season, and this matchup between Zach Collaros and Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah, the quarterback play as the CFL whole is awesome to watch. There's big time points being scored, and I know I'm a defensive player in saying this, right? So it makes me sick. But ultimately, when you have these veteran quarterbacks that are all playing for their teams, to, knock on wood, because you don't want to see it for any team, but there's been no injuries where these guys are now going in their second or their third string quarterback. It's all the guys that they want out there in the CFL. So it's been doing a great thing to watch these games because of how efficient these quarterbacks are, because of how good they've been playing. But now when you go look at the Bo Levi Mitchell and the Zach Collaros, this is exactly what you ask for as a CFL fan. Right, two guys that are going to go into the Hall of Fame playing against each other, and you get to see them go against each other now for the second week in the row, right? And ultimately, when you look at this game, I don't ever compare the two to each other when they're playing each other, like, oh, Bo had a better game than Zach, right? Because when you look at the last game, well, it was actually Roundtree that was the one that had to have the big game, right? Roundtree in that offensive line. So I'm looking forward to this quarterback matchup, but if the quarterback matchup means that for the Ticats offense, they need to run the ball 25 times and Bo gets to throw it 13 to win the game, then so be it, right? And for this defense, it's got to be, hey, we can't let Zach throw for 400 yards again, right? We need to now limit these things, but we are spoiled right now, Lou. Like, I remember a few times, even when I was playing, it was, you would have two teams that had their starting quarterback that they wanted at the beginning of the year playing, and that was about it, right? So we are spoiled how many points are being put up, how efficient these quarterbacks are, but guess what? We got the best one in the black and gold, so it doesn't matter.
Well put. Again, that's such a great point, is that, like, there's no quarterback controversy anywhere across the league, which is great to see. Every team has their established quarterback. Again, we're lucky to have number 19 in black and gold. He's coming off consecutive games with a perfect quarterback rating of 158.3. Back-to-back games with a perfect quarterback rating.
Wow.
If he were to do it again, he'd join only Warren Moon in CFL history to go 3 consecutive games with a perfect QB rating. So that is some rare air there. Of course, he is only just the 8th quarterback in CFL history to do it 2 games in a row. Could join legendary status even further if he were to do it again. So very cool to see that. Let's take a look at the Ticats depth chart, how they will line up against the Blue Bombers tonight at 7 o'clock. Of course, Tiger Cats pregame on the air at 6 o'clock with Bob O'Neill and Matt Buckner to get you started. But lining up on the offensive line, let's start there. You got Reed, Revenberg, Dobson, Dumoulin, Duguay, and Barrow. Again, the offensive line, one of those positions that if you're not talking about them, they're doing a great job. And this group, this front five, you throw Kolinkowski in there every once in a while, they're doing a really great job keeping Bo Levi Mitchell upright and creating lanes for Larry Roundtree.
Yeah, best in the league right now, giving up just 2 sacks over these games. And what's impressive about that is, I'll be honest, at the beginning of the season when there was some of that turnover on that offensive line, I was a little bit nervous on how this would go. But talk about just playing unbelievably. And when you look at a quarterback playing so well, right, you have to look to that offensive line. And that's where it starts with these guys, is because Bo Levi Mitchell is playing so well, it's because he's feeling comfortable back there. And guess how you feel comfortable? By not getting hit by people that are trying to kill you, right? Like, you're just you can stand up upright, you can throw the ball where you want it to, you can move around the pocket, but that's because this offensive line is doing such a great job. So, like I said, I'm looking forward to them in the pass protection, but also them moving some bodies up there, because Winnipeg's a little leaky on that run defense. So, I do feel like that's going to be a point of emphasis for this Ticats offense, but just a great job by that offensive line.
Yeah. Absolutely. Bo Levi Mitchell is the starting quarterback for your Hamilton Tiger Cats. Larry Roundtree the third, the starting running back. Milanovic Litre at the fullback, tight end. position. And then at receiver, you got Myron Mitchell, of course. Then you got Kenny Lawler behind him as the designated American and the nationalized American. Keandre Smith, Tyler Tarnowski, Curly Gittens Jr., and Kirk Wheatfall. Again, this offense, this receiver group, they just continue to do what they're going to be doing. Doesn't matter who's called upon. Doesn't matter whose number's called. They're going to have a big game no matter who's out there. What do you make of the Ticats receiving core this year? Getting a lot of praise, especially after that big game from Bo Levi Mitchell. I would say best in the league. I'm sure my bias is showing, but what do you make of the Ticats receiving core so far this season?
Yeah, well, when you have Bo spreading it around, getting 7 different receivers, 8 different receivers involved. We saw Curly Gittens get his first touchdown as a Ticat last game against BC. It's just good to see, right? It's really good to see these guys are all going to know that the ball could get to them at some point. And it's good to prove that when their number is called, they're able to make some big-time plays. We've seen what Keandre Smith has been doing. He's been doing unbelievably right. Kenny Lawler is still that game breaker, but Kirk Wheatfall is kind of my breakout player right now. He's doing such a good job. He's been able to make some big-time plays. So this receiver group is about as good as it gets, but that also helps that you have 19 back there slinging the ball around.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look at how the Ticats are lining up on defense. You got Julian Hauser, you got Fox Kendricks Jr., and then you have Isaiah Bagna getting the start at the DN position. What are you expecting to see at a number 0? Obviously, you got Osai back there as well, but what do you make about Bagna making his start there at the field side defensive end position?
Yeah, I think he's good. I think he's been pretty effective when he's been in there. Now that's part of the ratio and how they're going to be working. Wint McManus in there as well. Like Osai is going to play a lot, and he's been doing really, really well. Obviously, him and Hauser are 2 great pass rushers off the edge. But this D-line group, with really when you look at Hauser, Fox, Kendricks, and Osai, they are all able to get pressure on the quarterback. And that's what they're going to need against Zach. And, being able to get him on the ground. Winnipeg does give up a lot of sacks. Zach gives up a lot of sacks because he holds the ball. So as long as his back end can make him hold that ball a little bit, between Bagno, Osai, Kendricks, Fox, Hauser, whoever else wants to go after the quarterback, they'll have some options they'll have some opportunities to get there. And, Bagno's going to be part of that. Wint McManus, who's going to be in, who's going to be out, some of the ratio rules. So that's why you'll see that. But everybody's getting after the quarterback today.
Yeah, of course, people are going to look at that depth chart and think, why is McManus not starting? Yeah. Why isn't Lawler starting? Of course, it's all the ratio. In Milanovich we trust. It'll all work out. But speaking of, you got Braxton Hill, you got Baker starting at Mike. Of course, McManus lined up behind him, and Reggie Stubblefield at the Sam. And then in the secondary, as mentioned, Jamal Peters is back. Talbert, Stavros Katsantonis, White, and then Walton. Obviously, the Ticats made a transaction this week with Junior being released. So Walton in there at the field side boundary. What are you expecting to see from him? Obviously, that's a tough position. Like you're well aware. Kind of sliding into that secondary position. Not going to be easy against a good Winnipeg offense. Excuse me. So what do you make of Walton getting the start there? What are you expecting to see from him?
Yeah, well, he obviously showed enough for this for Brent Munson in this defense to be able to put him in. Switch from that boundary side corner, that short side of the field corner where Jamal Peters usually plays, and move him over to the wide side field corner or the wide side corner spot because he obviously made some plays. Right, he obviously was doing the right thing. He knows his stuff, and I like Zamari Walton. He's a big, long corner. Those guys are tough to get around as long as they can run with some people. So he just needs some experience. He's been in and out of the lineup, but that's not necessarily been because of him. It's been because of injuries or whatever it is. So I'm looking forward to him making some plays. Him and Quavion White are going to have to get working together though, because that's the hardest part. We talked about this earlier in the season when Dobson went to center and Dumoulin Duguay went in. Is when you work beside somebody. There's so much communication that has to happen that's an experience thing as well. So Quavion White and Zamari Walton, they wouldn't have had a lot of time together. So that's where now, we talked about this before with Stavros and Reggie Stubblefield being out there, they got to get those guys on the same page, and then those guys have to get that confidence up quick enough to go and make some plays, especially against the Winnipeg offense. And Zach, that we know, threw the ball everywhere last game against the Ticats. So it's not like they're going to have any rest or any time to talk out there. They're going to have to get right to it and start making some plays. Lou, I did want to touch on one thing real quick before we move on, is just that nationalized American piece, and just so everybody knows when you look at the depth, because it is, when you see the depth chart, you're like, hey, what the heck? Kenny Lawler has never started a game for the Hamilton Tiger Cats, right? Well, what that is it's anybody that's 3 years with the same team or 5 years in the CFL. It's a longevity of these American players that are willing to like stick around to the CFL and make it a home for them. So Wynton McManus being that, Kenny Lawler being that, they can go in and they can sub in for the designated nationals for 25 plays a game, and then any American for as many plays as they want. So how coaches get around this is packages, bringing in another linebacker, bringing in another receiver for Kenny Lawler. When they bring Ante Litra in, Kenny Lawler can take over for Wheatfall. So they work the numbers around. It's a math game, and who would have thought, Lou, that football guys are now having to do math? Because once I pass about counting to 5, I get pretty lost, and I'm spinning in circles here. So there we go. There's my math.
Yeah, listen. I'm so glad I don't have to worry about the ratio. People always ask, "Do they got enough Canadians on there?" I'm like, I trust them to have enough Canadians. I'm so glad I don't have to be worried about that constantly. We were talking about it being a quarterback league this year. The stats back it up. Across 2021 to 2025, the passer rating was 94.2. Not terrible. In 2026, it is an all-time high of 112.4. There have been 55 touchdown passes to just 16 interceptions across the league this year, and there is a 71% completion mark, and that 71%, obviously we're week 4, that 71% is the highest in CFL history. And of course, we talked about Bo Levi Mitchell, his 84%, just absolutely off the charts this year. Special teams, Mark Leggio, Gordo White, Mitch McCarthy, and Isaiah Wood Sr. Handling the kicking duties. It's going to be a fun one under the lights to wrap up Canada Day weekend. What will be the difference for you? What's gonna be the deciding factor in tonight's game?
That back end, this Ticats defense, that DB group. This is going to be the deciding factor. They're going to want to run the ball. Obviously, they will with Brady Olivier, right? They'll give him the ball as many times as they can, but what Tommy Condell, what Zach wants to do, what Tim White, Nick Dembski, what those guys want to do is throw the ball. And that's where they saw this weak point in that last game, and that's what kept the game so close. So it's going to be like, hey, we're going to do it until they stop it. So I imagine Winnipeg is going to come out. Yeah, they'll try to establish their own, but their game plan right now is to go after that back end and see if the Ticats have changed something up, to see if that they're going to hold up in that pass. So that's where I'm looking. And more specifically at this point right now, Lou, is Destin Talbot versus the Tim White matchup. Right? They're going to be seeing each other a lot. Jamal Peters is going to help that. But this is a game where I'm always itching for Destin Talbot to come out and make some of those big, those big game plays and, have a big game. You see him get an interception, whatever it is, a big-time hit, force the ball out. This is what I'm looking for. I'm expecting him to get a lot of action, and that's where my eyes are going to be this whole game, is that matchup and really that back end.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. You can't really stop Brady Oliveira. We've seen that firsthand. Maybe just try to contain him, and I think that's what's going to be. If the Ticats are going to win this, it's because they're going to contain Oliveira. They're going to slow down. I mentioned those stats about quarterbacks this year. They're going to slow down Zach Collaros. They might not stop him. I thought our boy Zach was going to be at the Taylor Swift Travis Kelce wedding, so I thought we wouldn't see him this week, but apparently the invite must have gotten lost in the mail for Collaros there, but I'm sure there'll be some chirps there for him and Kelce and his friends there. But anyway, okay, Mike Daly, appreciate this as always. Can't wait to do this again next week. It was a long bye week. I will admit it. It was a long bye week. I missed you, man.
I didn't know what to do. I felt like the game day, I woke up on, a Saturday morning or Friday morning and we didn't have a game. And I was like, what's going on here? I should just shoot you a text next time and say, hey, what's going on, Lou? Let's talk about some Ticats. Let's talk about some Ticats.
We should have just hopped on just to talk no matter what. Mike Daly, we will see you down there at the stadium tonight.
Looking forward to it. What a good game. And, really looking forward to Ticats win.
Under the lights, if you are listening live, well, don't go anywhere because Tiger Cats pregame is coming up next. And if you are listening on the Ticats audio network, make sure you like and subscribe so you never miss an episode. We have producer Troy and Mike Daly. I'm Louie Butko. Go Ticats, go.
Tiger Cats Game Day with Louie Butko and Mike Daly. Like, follow, and be game day ready.